So what is the trademarking process step by step? I'm Andrei Mincov, the founder of Trademark Factory, and we filed thousands of trademarks for hundreds of clients. And in this video, I'm going to share with you the step by step, the trademarking process. Let's go.
Get it trademarked with Trademark Factory.
I'm going to share with you our proprietary process. We call it TMs into Rs that helps you visualize the whole journey from you have an idea of a brand to having a trademark registration certificate hanging on your wall. So the first step is for you to figure out what it is that you want to trademark. And believe it or not, it's probably one of the most important parts of the process, because you need to understand, are you going to trademark the name? Are you going to trademark the logo? Are you going to trademark the tagline? If it's a name, how are you going to do this? Is it going to be the full name, maybe a part of the name? And there's a lot of interesting combinations, again, depending on what you have as a brand, what you've picked as a brand for your product or your service. So assuming that you know exactly what you want to trademark, right? And we call them brand elements because you have one brand, right? Let's make it very clear. You are building one brand, but inside that one brand can be as many brand elements as you can think of. Like, I recently did a video on Amazon. They've got close to 1,300 trademarks in the US alone, right? So they've got one big brand, and under that big brand, they've got brand elements. Okay, so most small businesses won't have anything close to 1,300 trademarks or 1,300 brand elements, but most of them will have several. Like I said, the name, the logo, the tagline. Those are the things that you come up with when you're launching your business, launching your brand, because you think that the brand is going to help you build a more successful business, right? So the first step is, like I said, for you to figure out what are those brand elements that are worth protecting. The second step is to find out if they are even trademarkable. If those brand elements that you came up with, can you even own them? Because if it turns out that you can't, then it's sort of the end of the trademarking process, right? So this is accomplished by doing a trademark search, and that involves checking the databases of the relevant trademark agencies, trademark offices on those countries where you want to file your trademark. And in theory, you can do it yourself. I strongly recommend that you don't. It doesn't cost too much for you to hire somebody who understands how to interpret the search results. And if you're planning to do something with your business, with your brand, it's certainly an investment worth making, because what if you did the search, you interpreted the results incorrectly, and you were overly optimistic? So let's say you pick a name, you do the search, and then you start investing more and more and more money into building your business, building your brand, and then it turns out that, whoops, you can't trademark it, right? You get a rejection from the trademarks office and you can't overcome it, right? That's the information you want to know as soon as possible, as soon as you've come up with a brand, as to whether it's a brand you can own, right? The third step is to file your trademark application. So let's say you know what you want to file, you know it's trademarkable, then you draft the application. There's a lot that goes into the trademark application. Usually it's 4 elements. One is the trademark itself, what is being trademarked. It's the same thing that you figured out in step 1, the brand element, the name, the logo, the tagline. The second thing you got to figure out is who's going to own it. Is it you as an individual? Is it going to be you as a company? Is it your LLC, but you need to decide who it's going to be. The third step, the third part of the application is the goods and services that your application is going to cover, right? And this is also very important because trademarks don't give you an absolute monopoly over the trademark, of the name, of the logo, of the phrase, of the tagline, whatever. The trademarks are very specific to goods and services for which you claim protection. So for example, Apple, they don't own the word Apple. They own the word Apple in connection with phones, software, computers, things like that. But they don't own the word Apple for apples. They don't own the word Apple for, I don't know, excavators. They don't own the word Apple for spoons, right? So when you file your trademark application, the third element of that is goods and services that your trademark application is going to cover. And the fourth step, the fourth element of the application is the dates of first use. So not all countries require that. Most countries actually don't. But if we're talking about US, you would need to provide the information as to when you started using the trademark in business, or if you're just planning to do that in the future. So that would be something that would go in your trademark application. And of course, before you file it, well, one of the things you got to decide is where, right? Which countries do you want to cover with your trademark? Because trademarks are done on a per country basis. And if you're a US business, you probably want the US trademark. And if you're selling your products or services to other countries and those markets are important to you, you got to file those trademarks in those other countries as well. So I'm not going to spend too much time on the where, because you would find this the answer to that in my other videos, but just know that trademarks are done on a per country basis. The fourth step of the trademarking process is to fight to get your trademark application approved and allowed. When you file your trademark application, nothing happens. You just sit and wait. Sit and wait several months, and sometimes several years really before you hear back from the trademarks office. And in some cases, in about 30% of the cases, everything goes through smoothly. Your application gets approved and allowed right away. And you're just like, yes, it was so easy. It's amazing. I'm so happy. But in more cases than not, in about 70% of the cases, instead of congratulations from the trademarks office, you're gonna get a letter that's called an office action that will list objections about the things that they didn't like about your trademark application. And you need to do something about it, because if you don't, your trademark will be rejected and that will be the end of your process. So this back and forth could involve you tweaking your application so that the trademarks office approves it, or sometimes you have to fight with them. Sometimes you have to bring arguments that will prove to the examiner that you're right and they're wrong. And that's really where the most time is spent by trademark attorneys with trademark applications, because a monkey can file your trademark application. That's why there are so many websites out there that will file your trademark for next to nothing. It's what happens after that matters. It's what happens after where you actually need experience. It's what happens after where it really makes the difference between somebody who's just a trademark filer and somebody who is experienced in getting the job done. So that's the back and forth on the examination stage. So let's assume that your trademark gets approved. Once it's approved, it will be published for opposition purposes. And what that means is your trademark application will go in some published form, a newsletter or a journal, or electronically, and the purpose of that is to give the public the ability to raise their hand and say, oh, I don't want this trademark to be registered because it would impact my rights. And I think I have prior rights to this name, to this logo, to this tagline. And so please, dear Trademarks Office, please don't give it to those people who've just applied for that trademark, right? And that's called opposition. It happens very rarely because, I mean, who monitors those trademark applications that are filed, right? There's 50,000 trademark applications filed in Canada every year. There's over 600,000 trademark applications filed in the US every year, and over 7 million trademark applications filed in China every year. So, you know, tiny percentage of business owners are monitoring whether somebody's trying to file a trademark similar to theirs. And so in the vast majority of cases, your trademark application will go unopposed. And if it does, great, then it just gets allowed. But in about 1% of the cases, you will face the opposition, and then you have to deal with the opposition. And sometimes it can get so nasty, it really becomes an in-person hearing, right? Almost like a court, like a lawsuit. It's just a lawsuit within the Trademarks Office's system. So not in court, but within the Trademarks Office. It could be a trial and appeals division or the opposition board. Different countries have a different name for it, but that's where your disputes, the opposition disputes, can be heard. So let's assume that your trademark got approved, it got allowed, then what? And the fifth step is for you to finalize your registration. There may be some formalities with your trademark application after it gets allowed. In the US, if you filed for your trademark on a intent to use basis, so when you file your trademark before you start selling your products or before you start offering your services under that brand, you're just like, it's a name I want to own. Let's protect it first. Then I'm going to put the products and services on the market. That's an intent to use trademark. So if you're allowed, then you have to show to the Trademarks Office the evidence that you've started using the product or the service, for example, under that brand name. There may be some post-allowance registration fees or some other formalities, again, depending on the country. So once you have taken care of those, that's when you get your trademark registration certificate, and you could put it in a frame, you could put it on your wall, you can do whatever you want with it. And the last step, you're like, what do you mean last step? It's already registered, right? Well, yes, but after your trademark gets registered, there's two more things that you need to do. One is you need to renew your trademark registration. In most countries, all you need to do is just renew your trademark every 10 years. Every 10 years. And the good thing about trademarks is that you can renew them forever. Over and over and over and over and over again. Right? Coca-Cola has been renewing their trademark since 1892. And the second thing you need to do is monitor others trying to file a trademark similar to yours. Remember I mentioned oppositions, how somebody can oppose your mark and how most people don't do that? Well, you need to monitor your brand to make sure that nobody's trying to get into the segment of the market that you value under a brand that's too close to yours. So that's the monitoring part of that. And we call it follow-up. So the 6 steps, they all start with an F if you haven't figured it out yet. So the first step is to figure out what it is that you want to trademark, then find out if it's trademarkable, file it, fight to get it approved and allowed, finalize, and then follow up to make sure you renew it and make sure you monitor others filing for a trademark that's similar to yours. That's the trademarking process in a nutshell. Trademarking process step by step. And as you can see, it's a pretty difficult process. It takes on average 14 to 18 months. In some countries it takes longer than that. And And usually it's not the process that you want to go by yourself unless you know exactly what you're doing. So with Trademark Factory, what makes us different, what makes us special, what makes us unique is that we have developed a process around these 6 steps that makes trademarking with Trademark Factory really the easiest way to protect your brand, risk-free, guaranteed anywhere. Here's how this works. On the part of figuring out what it is that you want to protect, what you do is you get on a call, a free call with one of our strategy advisors, and they'll listen to your story. They'll understand what your business is all about. They'll figure out what brand you got, what brand it is that you're trying to build, and they will help you identify the brand elements that you should be trademarking. Then the second side of it, the second step is finding out whether or not it's trademarkable. We offer a comprehensive trademark search that's included in all of our packages. And if it turns out that your brand is not trademarkable, you get all of your money back, right? So essentially you get a free consultation on why the brand you picked cannot be trademarked. So regularly, other firms charge about $300-400 per search per brand, right? And with us, it's all covered. It's all included. You don't pay anything extra. And if it turns out that your brand is not trademarkable, you get a full refund. Well, filing your application, there's very little that can be done differently. Everybody can file the trademark. Then the 4th step, fighting to get your trademark approved and allowed. With us, if you go with our all-inclusive package, you are covered no matter how many office actions we get, no matter how many hours we spend responding to those office actions. So unlike law firms that will charge you by the hour, and this can be many hours, some office actions require 30-50 hours. And if you're paying the attorney, I don't know, $300, $400, $500 an hour, that's a chunk of money. With Trademark Factory, you have one flat fee that you pay up front, and it covers everything from start to finish. And if you go with our Ultimate package, it even covers oppositions. Remember, I mentioned that they happen in 1% of the cases. We call it an atomic bomb that almost never goes off. Well, the Ultimate package that we offer covers that atomic bomb as well. And the Finalize stage is when you file the specimens, you take care of formalities, and then you get your trademark registration certificate. What we do differently is that instead of sending you a PDF of your trademark registration or just an email saying, hey, congratulations, you got it, we also send you your trademark registration certificate in a custom frame. We put it in a frame because we know how important this milestone is. And we know that once you hold it in your hands, something tangible, you will never feel the same about your business. We know that this is a magical moment and we want to be a part of it for you. And the last step, the following up, is we will help you with renewals. We'll remind you of the renewals. And if you're still around, if you're still there 10 years after the registration, we will help you take care of all the paperwork that needs to happen for you to renew your trademark. And we also offer a service to monitor your brand to see if somebody is trying to file a trademark similar to yours. So that's what makes Trademark Factory special. We make trademarking really easy to understand and really easy to get done. I hope you found this video useful. I hope you see how the trademarking process works. If you've got a brand that you want to protect, you can either go the process yourself, you can find somebody else other than Trademark Factory, but be warned, because usually things are not as easy as they seem. Or you can use us, and like I said, all you need to do for that is go to trademarkfactory.com, book a free call with our strategy advisors, and see how we can help you protect your brand. And if you're just curious about brands, if you're here because you like learning things, you like hearing stories about trademarks, you want to understand this area of law better, subscribe right now and get notified whenever the next video goes live. And until then, I will see you in the next video.